Hello there. Welcome to my world. Since the March 2020 lockdown, I've been pretty much restricted to my home environs, bar a trip to Kilkenny last year to see my wife's elder sister before it was too late, and a couple of trips to Cork to wonder at our latest grandson from a distance. As for going inside the doors of a church, sadly not. Whatever hope there might have been last summer, in which season for the last 25 plus years I've taken Sunday service in St. Paul's Ardmore, was dashed when the bishop said, "See your GP." The GP said, "No way. You are high risk. Your wife is higher. Stay home." And that was that. There were initial withdrawal symptoms, but over time they have abated, whispering in a diminishing background. For a while I missed the interplay with people, the sense of communal love of God, the privilege of leading worship, the social moments after the last Amen. But, as I said, such regrets have faded. Sometimes they surface, painfully so. The funeral of a man whom I regarded as a brother, who had asked me many years ago, as he lay in the coronary care unit in the Bon Secours Hospital, "When the time comes, Peter," he said, "I want you to do it." He never said what it was, but we both knew what he meant. When it came to it, I couldn't. I watched a video of the all-too-brief graveside ceremony with the family I knew so well and loved so much, and I cried. Perhaps not for him, for death was a merciful release, but I cried for myself. It was at that moment the COVID-19 created tide which was washing me away turned, and I sought other pathways to a personal salvation. There was the dawning realization that in another incarnation I could well and happily have been a spiritual solitary with a joyful existence in a busy family life. Endless walks on the beach which lies just a kilometre away, vigorous marches up and down the gentle hills that surround, further ventures even outside the government-imposed limits on my road bike, all contributed to giving my head peace. The more I exerted myself, even unto aches and pains, the more equilibrium entered my life. I began to think again, to imagine, to write, to pray, to laugh, and see beyond and behind the COVID-19 shadows which surround us. Like a lot of people, the background fear which haunts so many of us meant that a complete night's sleep became a rarity. What to do? Turn the light on and read? Resort to Netflix? Not options, really. Thus, tumbling thoughts morphed into mindfulness and meditations and prayers and reflections and memories and dreams. So much going on in the head that the incipient fear fled and the blessing of sleep came along. Come the morning and 8 o'clock sees me at the keyboard, so much to remember and relay to others. I'm a member of a group for whom I present a bi-weekly Thought for the Day class of a thing on WhatsApp and via our weekly Zoom gathering. The material comes from the time spent in sleepiness and on the bike and the walking boots. So it is I found a new form of expressing my vocation to serve the Lord. This is complemented by the fact that I have a pastoral role in the group, and in these times, a listening ear to the troubled. The past 10 months have been a time of shedding what once was central and almost inviolable, and discovering a series of new realities and challenges. COVID-19, in all its awfulness, has its counterpoints. Every cloud has a silver lining and all of that. A number of doors have closed, and I have walked down a different corridor. A corridor not lined with the portraits of the past, but leading to an entirely uncluttered encounter with the Lord. Yes, COVID-19 leaves a trail of death in its wake, but when we learn, as we must, to live with it, then there is a resurrection. Jesus found himself in a tunnel of despair. Why hast thou forsaken me? And rather than being engulfed by desolation, he lifted up his eyes to the hills, from whence came his help. A glimmer of light beckoned, a beacon breaking through the dreadfulness of his predicament. And so he travelled in his head and in his heart towards that light, until it consumed him, and he became that light, the light of the world. I believe these times have enabled me to see the light in a new way and in a new place, and so I follow the light of the Lamb. You may think what I've said is entirely selfish, egotistical even, an expression of a personal survival. But you would be wrong. I cannot be who I am, what I am, without my partner for the past almost 60 years. My wife has soldiered with me throughout my civilian life, my life as a priest, and my retirement, whatever that word means. She has been and is there. She completes the partiality which is me. Jesus is the lighthouse. She is the lifeboat. The pandemic of the 17th century was the bubonic plague, claiming millions of lives. It was at the beginning of its silent invasion that John Donne wrote this: "No man is an island, and the piece ends. Never send to know for whom the bell tolls. The bell tolls for me, it tolls for thee." Thank you for bearing with me.